The Marketing Results Club presents Paul Kiesche, sharing his point of view on the trends transforming B2B marketing. Paul Kiesche is the president and creative director of Aviate Creative, a branding and marketing agency with an edge in technology and manufacturing. In this interview, he shares his opinion on the hype surrounding influencers. Here's what he had to say.
But I think there's a heavy or a big move being influenced by influencers, which is, the business gurus or whatever, kind of like Gary Vee or Simon Sinek or some of the Shark Tank sharks and stuff like that. I think a lot of people are kind of following their guidelines almost a little too much, but that's where a lot of things are going. So a lot of that is turning into content marketing, and one of the big trends, which I think is great, is a lot of people creating macro content and then breaking that macro content down into micro content. So we can talk about that more if you want. We have one of the things that I think is happening out of that, which I don't like, is the balance of quantity versus quality, I think, is getting shifted. So in the past, there's always been a focus on quality, and I think some of this micro content is switching into the quantity direction too much, and I think people are just pumping out a lot of junk instead of actually spending the time to do it right. So they have this mindset of it's just good enough, and I think inevitably that's going to negatively impact their brands, because if their marketing is just good enough, that means their products are just good enough, or what their services are just good enough, and they're not going to actually be portrayed as quality themselves. So that's part of that there. I do think that there's a shift where a lot of companies are going into video marketing, podcasting. A lot of people are doing the lead magnets and funnels. So I think those are big trends right now. Social media has been interesting, and I think I gave you this example before, but some people are so interested in social media and making an influence or getting followers that they are actually skipping all the important stages. So I had a company call recently that said, we want followers and we want to be an influencer. And I said, that's great. And I said, okay, so, do you have a website? And they said, no. And I said, do you have a logo? And they said, no. And I said, do you have packaging? And they said, no. And I was like, so where are you pointing them to? Because, yes, you can gain followers or influencers, but if you have no website or no product to point them to and to buy, what's the point of it all? And so they're kind of going backwards in a lot of ways. So we want to basically work with them on the basics. A lot of people work on attracting leads, which is awesome, but if you attract leads and send them to a website that's broken or send them to a website that looks like junk, it doesn't matter how many leads you bring in, they're not going to actually convert, So that's been interesting trends as well. There's been a lot of documentary style video work and stuff like that, which I think is interesting. So those are probably the trends that I would talk about the most, kind of thing. Is there any one of those that you'd want me to dive into further?
You could actually go into a little bit more detail about like influencer spam, because I see that all the time, and it's just it's all this fluff, and
influencer hype. Spam, you said? That's an interesting way to put it. Yeah,
it's like hype, and people are so hyped up about the hype, they think that's what I need, the hype. I said, no, the hype is actually based on something really valuable right at the core, and then eventually you get the hype, and then people think, well, the hype is the thing. No.
Yeah. No, I agree. I've seen that a lot lately. There's two parts of it. One, there's actual influencers who have valuable content to share, but that's all it is. It's a learning piece, but
like an opinion piece. Right? It's kind of an opinion
what's that?
Piece. It's kind of an opinion.
It's an opinion. Yeah, it's an opinion learning piece, and it's not actually the recipe for success. It's just another piece of advice, another piece of education, which is certainly valuable, but you shouldn't be living your life on them. One thing that I thought was interesting when you watch Gary Vee is he says, watch what I do and not what I say. And I think it's very fascinating that he says that, because it's like, is he actually even doing what he says? And if you do all the things that he says, are you actually going to get his success? And the answer is probably no. You need to actually be putting into action what needs to be done, and not just all hype, like you had said. I do think that's interesting. But there's a whole other side of influencer marketing, which is scary, which is more on the scam side of it, which is all of these lead funnels popping up. People saying, we have the answer to all your dreams, and we have, forget about doing actual work, and it just takes this one simple thing. And they're popping up all over the place. And all they're doing is they're selling a dream. So they basically have you sign up, or they'll make you pay, a fee, and you'll watch a webinar, and it's all hype, and then you basically, you're out, a couple $100 or a couple $1,000, and most people never take action anyway. So even if they give you good advice, most people are not actually putting into practice what has been shared with. So it's
okay. Just to summarize all that, how does working with you different? Like, you get to the core of their problems, and like you got to the core of their. It's interesting.
I never really think of comparing myself, but the difference would be is that one big difference that we do, and a differentiator, which is strange that it's even a differentiator, but is that we actually take the time to talk to our customers, listen, understand their problems, understand their challenges, and understand their differentiators. And then we really craft custom solutions around them. But we also are really kind of heavily in the basic starting points where, we're talking about logos and websites and essentials. And that's what's so amazing, is that people are forgetting that those are essentials. You have people spending enormous amounts of money on some kind of video for their company, but then they're only willing to spend, $5 on a logo. And to me, I'm always amazed by that, because that logo is that sole representation of your company in so many fashions. And it speaks volumes to what you do, who you do it for, what quality you do. So many things come out of that logo, and people have shifted the value into things that are much less necessary for a successful brand than something like a logo or a website. A
little too focused on promotion.
Yeah.
Not on strategy.
Well, I think you said it before, is like it's hype too. People, they hear some kind of trend, they get excited when they see some kind of video, but then they forget that that's only one little piece of the puzzle, and not really even that significant piece of the puzzle.
Thanks for listening to this interview for the B2B Marketing Trends podcast. If you have a question or comment for this guest, you can leave them a voicemail, and they may respond in a follow-up podcast. By the way, I'm Derek Little, Editor-in-Chief for the Marketing Results Club and Chief Copywriter at trailblazerwriting.com, providing results-driven copy. If you'd like to be featured in a podcast, or be profiled as an influencer, or compete for the B2B Marketing Results Award, go to marketingresults.club for details.